What are the top 5 frugal habits that we swear by? These are the ones that helped us to become debt-free, even on a low income.
And it's not tracking your income or your expenses. Hi, I'm Larry.
And I'm Hope.
And we're from Under the Median, where every week we bring you videos on practical frugality.
Now, if you're unfamiliar with us or unfamiliar with our story, we've been debt-free since February of 1998. Then we went on to raise our 4 sons debt-free, and we did have an income which is under the national U.S. median income.
In order to put this into operation, we mastered 5 very important habits. And 2 of the habits were not, to your surprise, tracking our income or our expenses. Now, why do we say that? Well, we're assuming that you're already doing those things. That's why we're not putting these in. Those are 2 basic things to having a budget.
We're assuming that you are where we were years ago. We were tracking our income. We were tracking our expenses, and we wanted to dig deep. We wanted the lowdown on exactly what really would work. Simple things that we could put into practice every single day that would move the needle forward, and we'd be able to see ourselves making progress every single day on our great big goals. Now, if that's where you're at, we want you to drop us a yes, I'm ready to save money in the comment section, and we're going to get started giving you the lowdown on these ninja level frugal habits that you can master and will help you become debt free.
The first habit is prioritizing your spending. And although having a really good monthly budget to work with, what's more important is being honest with yourself as to what exactly you're doing with your money.
This is the point in our financial journey where we learned that all-important thing I talk about all the time on this channel. That's right, prioritize. We learned to prioritize every spending decision that we were making. What does it mean to prioritize your expenses? Because we told you we weren't going to talk about tracking your income or your expenses. Prioritizing your expenses is very different, but it is equally important. One of the mistakes that people make is that they see all spending as being equal. Well, it's not, because otherwise we would all go out to Starbucks multiple times a day and then we wouldn't pay our mortgage, because after all expenses are equal. They aren't. There are some expenses that are more important than others, and that's where the prioritizing comes in. You have to prioritize your food, clothing, shelter, and transportation all the way at the top. Any prioritized list, the most important items go at the top of the list, and then you work your way down to those items which are not as important. Why is this prioritizing important? Because this is what taught us that there were some things we were spending money on that we really didn't need to spend money on. This does dig down to the minutia of details. It gets down to the money that you're spending every day on candy bars at work. And your wife may or may not have totaled up all the money you spent on candy bars at work and said, maybe we need to buy some candy bars from the store and that would be a whole lot cheaper. Do you see how that decision process works? The reason it works is because not only are you prioritizing those spending decisions, but you're prioritizing them on the basis of how those decisions are ultimately going to affect your goal, be that retiring or be that becoming debt-free.
That's not to say that we didn't cut back on our spending. We did. If you want to know exactly how we cut back on our expenses and saved toward really big goals, Hope wrote an ebook on it.
It's called 10 Ways to Radically Reduce Your Expenses. It's all the steps that we took when we were saving for great big goals. I go through step-by-step instructions and give you checklists for each one of the items. It's free, and there will be a link to that ebook in the description of this video.
Habit number 2 is writing effective goals. When we were young in our experience with budgeting, we had some savings in our account. We had exactly $1,000. But because we had no real clear plan or goal attached, it just went poof, and it was gone quickly.
We had just made what we now call the big green pile of cash mistake.
Yes.
Anytime you have savings and it doesn't have a name attached to it, that means it is going to be spent. This is when we learn the importance of not only writing goals, but this is the game changer, guys. Listen up. Quarterly goals. This is gold. If there's one thing that we could explain to you in this video that will help move you forward toward reaching goals, and that is to write them quarterly. Not only should you write goals, you should make sure that they're associated with a specific amount of money, a specific goal, and a specific amount of time. But then you can add the magic statement to the end of it that we call the so that statement.
Yeah.
What is it that you really want or need from that goal? What is it going to give you emotionally to feel like you've been able to reach that goal? That's your so what. It's your why. Why am I doing this in the first place? So for instance, you're not just going to save $8,000 to finish your 3-month emergency fund in 2024. It's so that. So that what? So you can sleep better at night in case your furnace breaks again, which we've been through.
Yeah.
You're going to know you have that money set aside to repair or replace the furnace. What is your why? When you associate that with a goal and you write those goals down quarterly and you track your progress on them, you are absolutely going to make progress toward those goals.
Every month we did track our progress. We had a list we went by and we could look at exactly what we were doing. But as our goals got a little bit more challenging, we had to have some help.
We eventually had a really big list of goals, and some of them were really big goals and kind of scary goals, like Larry retiring. That was a great, big, definitely
big goal.
Scary goal.
Yeah.
And we sort of reached an impasse at some point where we were employing everything that we knew to do, and we just couldn't see ourselves ever reaching that goal. So we reached out for help. The person who helped us was named John Creekmer. He's from Creekmer Wealth Advisors, and they are our sponsor for this video. In fact, right before we started this video, we just got off a half-hour phone call with John. There were some things that sort of cropped up in our lives in the last few weeks, especially after the first of the year, and we were like, we think we kind of need somebody to run this by. So we talked to John for 30 minutes. He gave us some great advice and some great ideas that we would never have thought of when it came to those challenges that we're currently facing. Now, Creekmer Wealth Advisors, they are great to answer all of your questions, not only about savings, retirement, investing, even budgeting if you want some help with that. They'd love to field all of your questions. There's going to be a link all the way at the top of the description of this video. John or any member of the Creekmer Wealth Advisors team would love to help you plot your path from where you're at to where you want to be financially. You do need to live in the U.S., guys, and once again, there'll be a link to Creekmer Wealth Advisors all the way at the top of the description of this video.
Habit number 3 is practice active learning. And that means you're going to do some of your own research. You're going to go to the library, you're going to take out books, you're going to go on YouTube, you're going to look up videos on what you need to do to reach your goals, and you're going to put it into practice. That's the only way you know whether it works or not. If it works for you, it's a good thing. If it doesn't work, you eliminate it.
You always have this difference between passive learners and active learners.
Yes.
Passive learners will sort of listen and they'll take in everything, but they won't put it into practice. An active learner is going to run with it and say, all right, I'm going to give this a try. Not everything that we tried worked, guys.
No, it didn't.
Spoiler alert. There were things that we tried where a month later we went, well, that just didn't work nearly as well as we thought it was going to. There were times where we faced some months where we just went backwards because life happens. But being an active learner meant that we were willing to do the footwork to find additional tools. One of the worst things I think in the world is that people can get to a point where they feel like they've learned everything. Never, ever do that. We have not learned everything there is to know about frugal living. We are constantly, still to this day, reading books, researching, watching other podcasts, watching other YouTubers, and learning more about frugality that we don't know. You never know everything, guys. So make sure that you are an active learner.
If you're liking the content of this video, hit the like button. That helps in our algorithms on YouTube. Also, if you haven't subscribed to our channel and you want to hear more on these kind of topics, hit the subscribe button.
Moving on to habit number 4. This is one we didn't know about for a super duper long time, and it was incredibly helpful. And that was to automate our savings.
Yeah.
It never occurred to us that savings that is automated. So when we talk about automate savings, that means that on the 15th of every month, your bank is going to transfer $150 from your savings account to another account that you have set up that you're saving money to pay for perhaps your house taxes or to pay for Christmas or to pay for something else or to sit in there until you've reached a certain amount of money to reach your goal. Automating savings. We automate our savings and our investments at this point.
Yep.
The whole idea with automating is money that you don't see is money that you do not spend.
And by automating it, you give it a purpose and you don't mess with it.
Yep.
You really are not in control of it. You're not having to manually manipulate your money. It's done automatically.
Never manually manipulate your money. I just like the way that sounds. It's not going to take the place of prioritize for me, but I do like the idea of the whole mantra of never manually manipulate your money. If you can automate it, you are in business.
Habit number 5, have patience. Work with delayed gratification. Delayed gratification can give you so much power in what you're doing with your money. For one, you're going to take some time and do a little more research on the item that you think you want to buy. And over the time period that you are delaying, you might decide that you just don't need that item at all, and that will save you the total cost of buying that item in the first place.
I think people have this really bad connotation toward this whole idea of delayed gratification, like it's something that's really bad. Delayed gratification can be good.
Oh, yes.
Delayed gratification can allow you to say, I'm not going to have Starbucks coffee today because tomorrow I'm going to have the money to do this. And that's one of the things that we've talked about a lot on this channel is the fact that frugality and deprivation aren't the same thing. This is sort of another way of saying that. It's not deprivation because you're delaying that gratification. It's that you are making choices with your money that are in alignment with your goals and with your values. And as long as you know that, you're never going to feel ashamed. You're never going to feel bummed out. You're never going to feel defeated because you're choosing not to spend money because it is your choice.
The thing about being debt-free is that delayed gratification now becomes the forefront of what you're actually doing because you're not taking out a loan to buy something quickly. You're now delaying it because you're saving up the money in order to have that item.
And we will remind you that being debt-free gives you choices that you would not have had you been in debt. Now, some of you are watching and you're in a really tight place. Your budget is tight and you can't figure out where you're going to cut money from it. We just did a video where we give you 10 different places in your budget. You want to make sure that you're looking because usually there's hidden money lurking in there that you can shave off of your budget and shave off of your expenses, and you can massively make sure that you are saving as much money as possible. That video is right over there.